Hello everyone. Welcome to my YNR 24 spoilers. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Billy joins Jack in the battle against Victor. The Young and the Restless Wednesday, October 29th episode featured Kane and Phyllis playing mind games, Noah's accident mystery growing, and Jack asking Billy to join the battle against Victor. The Young and the Restless events. On The Young and the Restless, Kane and Phyllis engage in mind games. Photo. CBS. Billy wondered why he had been called to the Abbott mansion so suddenly when he arrived. Billy was shocked when Jack revealed that Victor had somehow obtained Kane's AI program. Billy was aware that they would be the first to be targeted if Victor had the program. Jack presented his opinion that Phyllis was involved, but Billy didn't believe anyone on Victor's staff had the abilities to carry it off. Jack didn't think it was that easy, but he wanted Billy to help encourage Phyllis to leave Victor. Billy could see how desperate she was, and she was prepared to take a chance if she wanted to side with Victor. Jack was determined to make sure Phyllis received collateral damage if she decided to join the corporate fight. Billy thought that this conflict might be the last conflict in the long-running conflict between the competing families, and he referred to Phyllis's most recent maneuver as a dangerous one. Billy was taken aback when Jack initially contacted him to offer assistance with the Jabot situation. In spite of their previous differences, Jack reassured his brother that they were still family. Billy was told by Jack, "You're the only brother I have. I value you. I need you. I want you fighting by my side." Jack saw Billy's hand markings right away and asked how they happened. After Billy admitted to punching Adam into the Genoa City Athletic Club floor, they decided to cooperate. Because she might be the secret weapon needed to repel Victor, Jack asked Billy to persuade Phyllis to join them. Jack wanted Billy's help, but he wasn't sure if he was the best choice to convince Phyllis to open up. He called Phyllis the enemy, and they knew that if she felt backed into a position, she would find a way to get an advantage. If Phyllis wasn't already officially involved, she was the most appropriate person for the situation. Kane questioned why Phyllis believed Victor would single him out. He was certain that she was lying, but she presented a flawless picture of Victor seeking retribution on him. Kane believed that the next step in Phyllis's manipulation strategy was to divert attention from reality. Victor would target Kane, according to Phyllis, due of Nick's wounded from Nice. But since Kane apologized to everyone, he figured they would all forget their resentment. Phyllis tried her hardest to convince Kane that Victor was after him, but he was still not convinced. She acknowledged that it was all speculation because Victor had not explicitly shared any precise facts with her. Phyllis claimed to know Victor well because of her previous relationship with him. Despite being disinterested in the talks, Kane prevented her from leaving the pub to talk about her ulterior motives. She said, "He did say that he was tired of playing these games with you, and that he wanted to turn the tables and see you sweat, in an attempt to change the topic." Kane disclosed that he discussed Victor's possible access to the AI program with Jack and Diane. She pretended to be more outraged that he had withheld it from her than that she was horrified that he had told them. When he mentioned notifying the Abbotts, Kane noticed Phyllis's newfound anxiety, and she attempted to play that card. She seemed not to care that he had told the Abbotts everything. Diane, Jack, and Billy didn't matter to her. She brought to his memory how she had once occupied the top seat at Jabot before being abruptly ejected by Jack and Ashley. Victor's cyber warfare was not a threat to Jack and his family business, according to Phyllis. Naturally, Kane would want to target Jabot and everyone else because he thought Victor wouldn't stop with only his company. She claimed to have given him every indication that she wished to support him in his fight against Victor. She asked to be Kane's partner after Phyllis explained how she was required by him. Kane knew she was up to something, even though she said she wasn't sleeping with anybody else. Every time Kane made progress with Lily or his kids, Phyllis felt as though he had betrayed her. He described her as the most baffling, exasperating, and fascinating woman he had ever met, but he was unsure of how to interpret her behavior. As the two attempted to outsmart each other's mind tricks, their chemistry was evident. After a short respite, Sharon and Nick went back to the hospital, but they wanted some time to themselves. Since coming to the East Coast, they had trouble adjusting to the new time. Nick and Sharon were about to return to Noah's room when Nikki and Victoria arrived at the hospital. Nick and Sharon updated the women on Noah's condition and thanked them for traveling to Los Angeles. No updates were seen as encouraging at this point. Nikki promised that Victor had a specialist on standby, and Victoria affirmed that she had included Nate in the situation. Nick stated that they had not received any updates from the detective since the first interview, despite Victoria bringing up the accident inquiry. Everything about the experience seemed extremely suspect to him, and he begged for another chance to question Sienna. After Nick confirmed that the club was open when Victoria asked him whether it was, Nikki encouraged her son to leave the hospital and look for information on the disaster. Sharon shared with Nikki and Victoria how supportive Nick had been during Noah's accident. Nikki wasn't shocked that he put himself last in order to be there for her because she felt like it was starting to wear him down. Nikki insisted that they had to be there even after Sharon informed her that Nick needed her help. Nikki asked Sharon to talk about herself since she no longer wanted to talk about Nick. That they were concerned about feelings startled Sharon, but because of the grandchildren, they viewed her as a member of the family. She broke down when she described what had happened, and they urged her to get rid of her feelings. The bandages on Noah made Sharon think of the time she had dealt with Cassie and Faith, and she was concerned about how scared Nick would be. She questioned what their family had done to merit this recurrence. This time, Cal went to the shadow room during business hours. He wanted to know about Audra's history with Holden, but Sienna was a little taken aback to see him at the club so early. But Sienna turned the tables and told Kyle she had some questions of her own. She offered him a drink and inquired about his familiarity with Noah Newman. Her question regarding Noah confused Kyle. She believed that they had previously crossed paths, but he reassured her that they had a lengthy history together with the Abbotts. Kyle clarified that on the hotel rooftop he witnessed Sienna and Nick conversing. She explained to Kyle that Noah had been spending a lot of time in the shadow room in the past few months, but he was unable to comprehend her intense interest in him. He knew she had met him, but she seemed to have more than a passing inquiry. She claimed that while Noah was learning more about the nightlife culture in Los Angeles, she and him became friends. Since Nick and Sharon were in town for a reunion that went terribly wrong, Kyle showed sympathy for them. Sienna pondered whether she had overlooked anything from Noah's accident night. She hoped the accident had nothing to do with Noah's stay at the club. Sienna informed Kyle that she wanted to hear more from Nick in order to obtain some sort of answers, because she felt that his inquiries had been forceful. Nick interrupted their talk when he entered the shadow room and immediately asked Kyle why he was at the club. Kyle informed Nick that in order to keep Claire safe, he was researching Holden. He was curious as to whether Holden posed a threat to Claire in any way. Kyle left the booth to give Nick and Sienna some peace, so they could talk about Noah in private. Sienna was unsure of what else Nick expected from her, since there had been no word on Noah's condition. "I need to know who tried to kill my son." He inquired about her club's clientele and the activities of her personnel after they left the shadow room. Nick was merely a father in dire need of information concerning the person who might have purposefully driven his son off the road. Nick was informed by Sienna that the cops never visited her club to talk to her. He was shocked that no one had been to ask her about the night Noah had been hurt. Sienna professed that she had nothing that could assist Noah and that no one had visited her club to inquire about him. Nick said he wasn't sure Sienna was telling the truth about anything she knew. Although Nick recognized that Sienna was giving him the runaround, she felt intimidated if she didn't cooperate. She said her team was too busy to answer Nick's questions about the night of Noah's tragedy. Nick questioned whether Sienna and Noah's relationship was more than just platonic, but she denied any connection. Sienna looked at Kyle after Nick had left the club. He gave her a deal after noticing that she appeared anxious. "How about we work out a deal? I'll look into Noah's accident and the police investigation, and you tell me everything I want to know about Audra and Holden," he said to her. The script intertwined three main storylines: the Abbotts' renewed feud with Victor Newman, Kane and Phyllis's psychological chess match, and the growing mystery surrounding Noah's accident, and drew viewers into a world where strategy, deceit, and emotional vulnerability collided in typical Genoa City fashion. The Young and the Restless Wednesday, October 29th episode was an intense hour of layered manipulation, family loyalty, and corporate warfare. The Abbott Alliance. Billy and Jack get back together. Billy Abbott arrived at the Abbott mansion after receiving an unexpected summons from his brother Jack, and his suspicious and slightly defensive tone set the stage for an uneasy alliance. The episode began with a confrontation that represented both reconciliation and renewed rivalry. Jack revealed his shocking discovery. Victor Newman had somehow obtained Kane's artificial intelligence program, a technological weapon capable of destroying Jabot and its corporate interests. The idea that Victor, a man notorious for his moral leniency, now had such a tool elevated the stakes beyond simple business rivalry. It was war, and the battlefield had entered the digital era. Jack's conclusion was even more unsettling. Phyllis, Billy's ex-lover and one of Genoa City's most crafty minds, was probably involved. This revelation struck Billy hard. Billy hesitated, knowing that Phyllis's allegiances were erratic and her motives were laced with self-preservation. But Jack's tactic was audacious and emotionally manipulative. He needed Billy not just as an ally, but as a weapon, someone who could reach Phyllis in ways Jack could not. "You are my only brother, and I cherish you, need you, and want you to fight with me." After years of rivalry, animosity, and treachery, the Abbott brothers stood together once more against their shared foe, Victor Newman, thanks to that line, which turned their conversation from a tactical one into a time of family reconciliation. Jack, ever the patriarch and strategist, tried to control the narrative, while Billy, impulsive and emotionally driven, brought unpredictability and passion to the plan. Jack's recognition of Billy's bruised knuckles, evidence of a fight with Adam, added a physical reminder of the chaos surrounding them. Violence and vengeance hovered at the edges of every conversation. But even in the midst of that tension, their reunion was underscored by a shared purpose. Their union was not born of convenience, but of necessity, and the implicit recognition that in Genoa City, family fights never really end, they simply evolve. The episode screenplay struck a rare moment of balance between the brothers. Jack's calculating rationality and Billy's impulsive heart. Phyllis and Kane, the mind game art form. The episode focused on Kane and Phyllis's struggle of psychological manipulation, which ran parallel to the Abbott plot. Their moments were like to a heated chess game, with each move designed to reveal weakness while hiding intent. Skeptical but intrigued, Kane confronted Phyllis about her sudden insistence that Victor was after him. Phyllis, as usual, skillfully wove in her web, using her history with Victor as support for her suspicions. But her inability to offer hard proof showed weaknesses in her facade. She claimed that Victor wanted to turn the tables and see you sweat, but Kane wasn't buying it. Phyllis wasn't necessarily lying. She was planning, and her intention was to align herself with Kane under the pretense of mutual protection while gently guiding him toward dependence on her. This exchange was brilliant because it was ambiguous, and both characters worked in the gray area between truth and manipulation. Although he was tired of her tricks, Kane was not immune to her charms. His accusation that she was the most baffling, exasperating, and fascinating woman he had ever met was both a confession and a warning, and their chemistry was evident on screen, with equal parts attraction and mistrust. The audience was reminded that Phyllis always survives by adjusting to the strongest force in the room by her history with both Victor and Jack, which loomed over the conversation like a shadow. Phyllis's attempt to establish a partnership with Kane mirrored her long-standing pattern of aligning with powerful men to regain her footing after a setback. Kane's character became more complex as he realized she might be playing both sides. When he revealed that he had already told Jack and Diane about Victor's possible access to the AI program, Phyllis became defensive and appeared shaken for the first time. Her fake indifference to the Abbotts, didn't hide the glimmer of fear that Cain had seen through her facade. Cain and Phyllis represented the conflict between cooperation and self-interest in a world where alliances change hourly, reflecting the young and restless recurrent topic of trust as a currency that is continuously depreciated in Genoa City. Sharon, Nick, and Noah, love amidst grief. The episode's emotional center was the hospital scenes with Sharon, Nick, and their baby Noah, even though corporate warfare took center stage. These scenes served as a reminder to viewers that, despite the manipulation and plotting, The Young and the Restless is still a show about love, family, and perseverance. Their shared history of tragedy, the tragic death of their daughter Cassie, and their struggles with faith, made Noah's accident all the more painful. Nick and Sharon's quiet moments together were filled with unspoken fear and exhaustion. When Sharon broke down, asking herself, "What did our family do to deserve this again?" it encapsulated the generational curse of suffering that has long afflicted the couple. Victoria's discussion about the ongoing investigation brought to light Nick's developing paranoia. He sensed something sinister behind Noah's accident, and his determination to find the truth hinted at a dangerous obsession forming. Nikki, ever the matriarch, reminded everyone that Victor had a specialist on standby, reinforcing her husband's invisible influence even in times of crisis. Nikki's arrival at the hospital brought both comfort and renewed tension. A rare instance of harmony among the frequently strained relationships was the women's choice to console Sharon rather than compete with her. Their empathy, if fleeting, gave the episode a sense of real emotion amidst the upheaval in Genoa City. Sienna, Kyle, and the mystery of the Shadow Room. The noir-style intrigue that the show frequently employs to counterbalance its boardroom drama was introduced by the subplot between Kyle Abbott and Sienna. Kyle's visit to the Shadow Room, a chic, exclusive nightclub, was purportedly to find out more about Audra and Holden. But when Sienna brought up Noah Newman, the conversation swiftly took an unexpected turn. When Sienna casually mentioned that Noah spent a lot of time at her club, it was a hint that the establishment might be central to the mystery of his accident. Her defensiveness, when questioned, suggested that she had hidden knowledge, possibly even guilt. The conversation was layered with suspicion and subtext. Being both an investigator and an avid heir, Kyle's cautious manner and meticulous questioning reflected his dual identity. He symbolized the younger generation's involvement in the elder generation's problem, still entangled in the cycles of loyalty and deceit that characterized his family. The scene was a perfect example of the young and the restless, conflicting storylines colliding in one room, with emotional stakes rising alongside corporate intrigue. Nick's arrival mid-conversation changed the tone from curiosity to confrontation, and his raw desperation was evident as he demanded answers about who attempted to kill his son. By the time Nick left, the audience was left wondering if Sienna was a bystander, a conspirator, or just another pawn in someone else's plan. Her fear, whether real or staged, added layers to her character, and her admission that the police never asked her about the night of the accident only served to heighten the mystery. Every relationship in Genoa City seemed to be transactional, and Kyle's last offer to Sienna, "You tell me everything I want to know about Audra and Holden, and I'll dig into Noah's accident," established a convenient alliance similar of the Jack-Billy dynamic earlier in the episode. Symbols and themes. This episode's several subplots were brought together into a cohesive tapestry of suspense and treachery by a number of recurrent themes. Family allegiance versus personal aspirations. Whether family loyalty and personal ambition can coexist was symbolized by Jack and Billy's reunion, and the Newman family's hospital vigil tested their capacity to unite without bringing up old issues. Using the truth as a weapon. Truth was viewed as a tactical instrument rather than a virtue, from Phyllis's manipulation of Cain to Nick's unrelenting quest for answers. The characters' readiness to misrepresent, conceal, or weaponize facts highlighted Genoa City's moral uncertainty. Power and technology. An old rivalry was given a contemporary spin by the AI software, and Victor's purported ownership of it represented his transformation from business tycoon to digital tycoon. evidence that his desire for power changes with the times, control and desperation. Though their attempts frequently resulted in more instability, each character was driven by the desire to regain control over chaotic circumstances. Jack over Victor, Phyllis over her reputation, and Nick over his family's trauma. This reflected the show's central tenet. In Genoa City, peace is temporary and power is ephemeral. Character analysis. Victor, Billy, and Jack. The triangle of Jack, Billy, and Victor, bonded by decades of competition, reflected each other more than they would ever acknowledge, and formed the emotional and strategic center of the episode. Despite his willingness to exploit Billy as a pawn, Jack Abbott remains the quintessential moral businessman, driven by tradition, guided by intelligence, but increasingly consumed by revenge. The episode's emotional core was Billy Abbott, an impulsive yet devoted character whose alignment with Jack signaled growth, but also hinted at impending disaster. Despite not being physically present in most scenes, Victor Newman loomed large, and his unseen manipulation of events reminded viewers why he continues to be the show's top antagonist, a man who can control the board without having to appear. Together, they perfectly captured the young and its main conflict, the never-ending struggle between morals and ambition, family and self, and trust and treachery. In summary, a conflict on all fronts. Every storyline, corporate, romantic, and familial, interlocked to create a narrative of suspense and dread in the young and the restless October 29th episode, which was a masterclass in multi-thread storytelling. The Abbotts versus the Abbotts is still one of the most enduring rivalries on daytime television. But what made this episode so powerful was its recognition that the biggest battles are fought within families, not between them. Jack's choice to enlist Billy in the fight against Victor was not just a calculated move. It was a declaration of war, both internal and external. As Nick searched for answers, Kane fought, Sharon lamented, and Phyllis plotted. Genoa City once again demonstrated that on the young and the restless, success always has a price.